It's obvious that The Last Jedi has caused so many controversies and so many people going nuts about how Disney ruined Star Wars. Ever since The Last Jedi, Star Wars has been put in an even more awkward position. Their last film, Solo, bombed. It bombed big time. How can a Star Wars film bomb? How can a film with a name tag of one of the most significant pop culture icons of all time bombed with millions of dollars lost? Well, for me, it's due to my opinion that Solo is just not really an interesting film in its concept. Why should we explore the origin story of someone whose story is already explored enough in the original trilogy? I mean, isn't it astonishing? There are 2 Star Wars stories films released, and Rogue One somehow managed to make more bucks than Solo in its first few days. Because Rogue One at least caught people's attention. At least it was something new and interesting. Solo was just regurgitating the things that people probably already know about Han Solo. It doesn't really add anything new to the franchise. In fact, in a lot of ways, it actually adds completely unnecessary things to the franchise, or even things that ruin the franchise. I have watched Solo and it was just boring. A lot of people say that it was quite enjoyable. Some people say that it was absolute garbage. I personally thought it was just a bore fest. The things that should impress me, like the visual effects and Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian, they didn't impress me. The things that should piss me off, like the inclusion of the robot rebel character L337, yes, that's the actual name, didn't really piss me off. It just bores me. It's almost to the point where I predicted correctly that Star Wars is going to do exactly those. The recent Star Wars movies always have some form of a stupid rebellion narrative being shoved down to people's throat, and it gets more and more blatant as time went on. It really is thanks to the poor management of the plot of Solo and the absolute mess of The Last Jedi that really made people to be not excited about Star Wars anymore. Some people attribute the failures of Solo to this so-called franchise fatigue, but if that is true, then Infinity War wouldn't be one of the highest grossing films of all time. If that is true, then Deadpool 2 wouldn't be selling pretty well. All of these films are superhero films, and you thought that we're living in a time where they are oversaturated, and yet these superhero films are making tons of money because they are legit good, and they are oversaturating the market by their own merits. Infinity War and Deadpool 2 are amazing in a lot of people's eyes, while Solo merely impresses some and bored so many. And here's the thing, guys, I'm not even a Star Wars fan. I'm not as invested in Star Wars as many other people in this world. I watched all of their recent films thinking that those films would get me into Star Wars, which it sort of did with The Force Awakens, but the rest of the films just didn't impress me that much. Star Wars, in my mind, is a cultural icon whose quality needs to be put in check. Their latest iterations have been incredibly divisive, and they really need to do something to win over the fans. That or just simply insult the fans. I guess that works out too. But that's not going to be something that I would do, at least not seriously anyways, and I will definitely not insult my new patrons. Huge thanks to Shiver Fluff for the pledge, you are fantastic. But the insults don't just come from the creators and the media. It's actually a two-way street. It's the media insulting Star Wars fans, and the Star Wars fans insulting the media, and also insulting the entire franchise. It's a pretty abusive relationship. As the recent news revealed, the actress for the character Rose in The Last Jedi, Kelly Marie Tran, quit her Instagram account. A lot of people speculated that this is due to the mean comments that she received thanks to playing Rose in one of the most anticipated films of the past decade, but this hasn't been confirmed yet. There is a sort of confirmation from the director Rian Johnson and Mark Hamill, I guess, but there's no real confirmation from herself if she quits thanks to the Star Wars fans hating on her, at least as far as the time of writing. Now, if I personally hate the character in the series, why the hell should the blame go towards the actress who played it? The only people who actually think that it's a good idea to harass the actress for the actions and the writing of a character are a bunch of dumbasses who cannot distinguish between a character and an actor. It's the same thing that happened to Jake Lloyd from The Phantom Menace, a movie that got people incredibly divisive as well. Except Jake was a child and Kelly is a freaking adult. She can definitely handle it better, although considering ignoring her significant role in the film, and by significant I mean taking too much screen time, she's gonna be dealing with a lot of haters. There are so many arguments that pop up from this. She's an adult, she can take it, but that doesn't mean that we can't feel sympathy, and that doesn't mean it's right. The unfounded insults and harassment directed towards her has led to so many people to defend her in social media, including people that didn't even really like the character or the film. And rightfully so. She's not to blame for the horrendousness of Rose's character. It's the writers and the director who are to blame. Unfortunately, the human stupidity is infinite. The moment you think that the human race couldn't be any less intelligent, you will be surprised by their next display of absolute stupidity. So yes, the people who harass her are a bunch of idiots that rely on absolutely emotional arguments and insults rather than actual legitimate criticisms. The only reason why you would insult the actress and her appearance is simply because insulting her feels good. But there's really nothing productive that will come from it other than from your own personal satisfaction. I am certainly not one of those people who insulted the appearances of the actress or even the character. I just think that The Last Jedi was a poorly made film with too many plot threads hanging out and causing a 2 hour and 30 minutes long of a huge pile of mess. And to quote Yahtzee,
I'm actually insulted, and I'm not even a fan of this stupid franchise. If I was, I'd already be measuring myself for the noose.
From all of this nonsensical drama, thankfully we have one recorded piece of abuse and harassment directed towards her, in the form of a post from Wikipedia. Or an edit, more accurately. Ching Chong Wint, what are you doing? At least try. Try to be creative in your insults. This is just pathetic. Anyway, Ching Tong Wing Tong is a dumbass fucking character Disney made and is a stupid, autistic, and retarded love interest for Finn. She better die in a coma because she is a dumbass bitch. This isn't even trying. At least try to be humiliating. This is just laughable. Anyway, if I have to be serious, it's unfortunate for me to say this, but Rose herself is not a good character. So many people have legitimate critiques on her character, which I think everyone on this planet have put their own 2 cents on this issue. But for every one nice and constructive person, there are thousands more screeching fans. They're going to be really damn passionate in their critique of this character. It's not constructive or articulate, it just has to be passionate. And unfortunately, people's passion can turn into this really stupid comment. But hey, look on the bright side. Wikipedia has a page dedicated to explain what tits are. I'm not kidding, look it up. But at the end of the day, if we're going to merely focus on the harassment that Kelly received and talk about how horrible it is and how the fans are toxic and abusive and sexist and racist, etc., I don't think this will lead into any sorts of productive discussion. The discussion starts with Kelly was harassed off of social media, and it ends with that's horrible and I do not condone it. There's really nothing that you can do to these toxic fandoms. Call them out all you want and they're still going to exist. This is why I said it's best to just ignore them, because giving them attention is a complete waste of energy. How about we spend our energy in finding ways to minimize the outrage? Yes, my friend, while it is impossible for us to curb the outrage from the fans, there is a way for us to minimize the outrage and make sure that people aren't pissed left and right. It's actually very simple. Okay, it sounds simple, but achieving it is going to be difficult to do. And that method is to simply make Star Wars good. Seriously guys, every recent Star Wars content, from movies to comic books to even freaking video games, have been consistently underwhelming in its quality. And it's not just underwhelming to the fans, it is also underwhelming to the non-fans who want to see and check out why people love Star Wars so much. The recent box office bomb that was Solo and how many millions of dollars that you lost from that film should be a warning sign for Disney or Lucasfilm or anybody who is involved in Star Wars to please, for the love of God, do something. This franchise is in dire need of help. It's in sickness. It's dying. Looking at it in a broader perspective, if Star Wars is suffering from flu, then the toxic fan base is your snot. They're annoying, you have to wipe them out constantly, but you can't exactly stop your illness if you focus on wiping your snot all the time. You have to drink medicine or go to a doctor. You have to figure out what's causing the illness so that you can find a way to stop these snots from pouring it infinitely. Unfortunately, instead of focusing on the faults of The Last Jedi or Solo, a lot of people at Star Wars prefer to deny their their faults and just keep on wiping the snots. They constantly have people on the media to mischaracterize Star Wars fans, or not just people on the media, their own creators, their own directors, their own people mischaracterize Star Wars fans, calling them evil white men who wants dominance over the medium, when in reality it's just a bunch of people from a diverse range of backgrounds than any of these journalists could have ever hoped for in themselves, who are incredibly pissed that their favorite franchise is dying. For the love of God, look at the MCU. A very large number of people love the MCU because they consistently produce good films that people enjoy. And even if they're not exactly good, there is a significant number of people who love and enjoy them. Deadpool 2 is a really fun film that people enjoy. For the most part, Ryan Reynolds didn't get any sorts of hate. He gets a lot of support because he was good in the film, and the film was good. He was fantastic as Deadpool. The film was enjoyable. Lots of people have fun with it. Do you want to have all of these love and support? Do you want to see Star Wars fans love you? Do you want to remove these toxic fan bases? Make something good. Make something that is going to please people. Do something that will delight them and surprise them instead of constantly pissing them off, especially intentionally. Now sure, it is impossible to please everyone, but at least try to please a majority of your fans. You are in a state where a majority of your fans are not pleased. They are so not pleased, your recent film bombed. That is a fail. You need to realize that you failed and you need to find ways to improve upon it. Now this hot take will definitely piss so many people off, but I have to say it because I think people should know this. All of the harassment towards the actress, whether it be Daisy Ridley or Kelly Marie Tran, it's merely half of the blame that goes to the fans. The other half of the blame goes to Star Wars itself. You are responsible for this. You made this to happen. If only you could give Rey a more engaging, investing, and less Mary Sue-ish character. If only you could give Rose a better written, less token character. If only The Last Jedi was a good film. The characters are terribly written, and sure, that results in unjustified anger from the fans towards the actresses. But unfortunately, if you smear someone with honey, don't blame the bees when they swarm them. With the state of Star Wars being one of the most culturally significant icon in this generation, with the state of Star Wars being a franchise with millions and millions of fans around the world, thousands who are incredibly passionate about the subject matter, you of all people should expect this to happen. To put it short, if you write garbage characters from a gigantic franchise, you will get an equal amount of garbage people responding to them. If you write garbage films, you will get garbage people. Don't ever think that you have nothing to do with any of this. You are half to blame on this entire issue. Again, look at the MCU and how consistently good they have been. There are a lot more fans who love the MCU than there are fans who love Star Wars. Which is strange. How can that happen? Maybe it's because you haven't been producing films that are good. Maybe it's because the MCU, for the most part, respects the source material rather than destroying it bit by bit. To say that this entire thing is just the fault of very toxic fans of Star Wars is ridiculous. You are denying your own faults. You are denying your impact to this entire thing. I mean, the formula is very simple on paper, guys. You please the fans and they will love you. You attack the fans and they will hate you. You make something terrible, the fans will attack you, even to those that don't deserve it. And thanks to you having a poorly written character in a poorly received film, you have brought this upon yourselves. Forgive me for being this insufferably cruel and unsympathetic, but you are the ones who demand any sorts of pragmatic solutions. The fact of the matter is, you cannot change how fans would react. You cannot change how horrible or stupid human beings on the internet can be. What you can change is yourself. What you can do is to take a look back at what you have done wrong and find ways to fix it. Now, of course, Kelly didn't do anything wrong. She is merely an actress playing a role that is unfortunately poorly written, but to suggest that her departure from social media is entirely on the fault of the fans is completely dishonest. You are also to blame on this, Star Wars. You are a significant contributing factor in not just the hatred from the fans towards Kelly, but also to your entire franchise. All of this toxicity, all of this anger, all of this hate, don't ever think for a goddamn second that you are not guilty of it. You have done nothing to make amends or fix what has been broken. You keep blaming the fans. You keep doubling down. You keep blaming anyone else but yourself. The fans are merely the symptom to a disease that is going to kill Star Wars. And if this disease is not treated well, you're going to be losing more and more millions of dollars. You're going to have more and more people be unjustifiably put on the crosshairs of completely angry fans. So please, Star Wars, make good films. Make good characters. You can see the films around you. Films that your company freaking own. That this method works. This method will save everyone the headache. There will be less angry fans. There will be less hate mobs. There will be less actors or actresses be put on the crosshairs of the outrage mob. At least less from the fans anyway.